So, and the superconscious, it communicates through symbolism, through visuals, through feeling, through, and that's why, like, when they're more connected, that's when I believe that the subconscious can start, changing, right? Yes. And that's what we want to be doing. I don't know if anyone else has done similar type of work, right? I kind of didn't, I really wanted to let my own superconscious, and I really think it was my superconscious that helped me create this framework, because I was just being led, right?
Yes.
And funnily enough, right as I was reading this book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, I was reading about Mars. And Mars is my 12th house planet. Right?
Oh, crazy.
So
it's
crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, the other thing, so now it's kind of not related. It's not the thing that I wanted to say. But the other thing that the common theme or the common benefit, I think, that people have spoken about doing this, and this is very 12th house, which is creating those moments of stillness for yourself.
Yes.
Because you have to do that. Like, that is what the 12th house is about. The 12th house, as I mentioned before, one of the key words is retreat.
Yeah.
Meditation falls into the 12th house. Those kind of activities, right? Yes. I personally don't like to use the word meditation because I feel like it's a doing, and oh, you're doing it wrong, or like, people like, and you so often hear like, I can't meditate. Okay, no, but you can sit in stillness.
Yes.
You can sit in silence.
Yes. And that is only meditation based on a box that we've been given from an external authority that may not work for you.
Yep. Exactly. Oh, I just remember the thing that I wanted to say, so I'll say it now before I forget. Yes. So when you were explaining how, your understanding of the superconscious, right? The higher and the subconscious being all these firefighters and protectors. So the way that I've experienced it for myself, these voices. Yeah. So for me, the subconscious are these, like, not always so very nice voices either, Yeah. The ones that says, well, who do you think you are? And why do you think you can do that? And you need, all those
protectors.
Yeah. Whereas the superconscious you will never hear that voice. That's what I've discovered. It's very loving. Yes. It's very calm. Yeah. And it just knows.
It's quiet.
It's quiet. It's quiet. Yeah. But how do you access it? I'm afraid to say it. Through stillness.
As we're talking, I'm having an out-of-body experience too, because I am really, really focusing on just living my design through my incarnation cross at the moment. Okay. And my unconscious earth gate is the gate of stillness. And it is the thing that I most struggle with when all of those voices, all of the fears and the doubts are trying to run the show. And I'm like in the middle. I had so much activation in my body and so much of that subconscious, like, what? Yeah. Because I'm doing something that is scary to my system. I'm like, packing everything up, leaving my kids for the first time in a country by themselves. I mean, it's like there's they're not 3. But my fear brain is running overtime. And the thing I most resist is the thing that I most need, which is just to get quiet. Yeah. Get under the surface of all of that and be like, all right, what is actually underneath here? And there is always this deep taproot of calm and quiet. And it is a very different energy. So I totally agree. It's like, and it's funny. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and she asked, how do you tell the difference between intuition and like the voice of fear or patterning? And I'm like, to me, it's a felt sense, but it's also auditorily how it sounds, exactly like you're saying. And that'll be different for everyone as well. Like that's not the only way to tell. Yeah. And I would say, in response to this woman, is that, let's say it's an action, right? That comes through. Yes. It will never feel forced. No. And it will never feel urgent. Yes. You just know. Or grippy or motivated by something that's fearful or the other one is, it always feels urgent somehow. And I've had a voice previously where there was a sense of urgency, but it wasn't like, it was still grounded. Yes. It was just, I just knew that, I had a window, let's say, Yes.
a time where it was necessary to get something done.
Yes.
But this is the thing, like another thing as well, I feel is that I don't think we do enough of this, right?
No.
And because we don't do enough of this, just being still and hearing ourselves out, we lose touch with it.
Yeah.
And therefore we immediately, so therefore our, the monkey brain is like, oh, I need some external thing to tell me what to do,
And do you know what? Like, if I come back to why I feel so triggered sometimes by the tropical astrology thing, I'm like, I do believe that part of the reason why the entire world is too fast is the systemic oppression of us as human beings and our own evolution. And so systems like tropical that say you're actually 24 degrees ahead of where, like what the actual sky is doing. I'm like, we need to just slow the fuck down.
Yeah.
Stop externalizing our power. Stop looking outside of ourselves for answers.
Yeah.
And actually creating. And I always use the word self-devotion. To me, like, it's not a discipline, it's a devotion, because I'm like, I want to live from the space of my superconscious or my wise woman, like whatever language we want to put.
And the superconscious wants you to do that too.
Exactly. And also all the monkey mind and the fear voice and the drive and the externalizing, all it does is just distract us.
Yeah, exactly.
From what we're actually meant to be and do and how we're meant to move through the world. And so to me, this is an art form of self-understanding and I don't know, the word that's coming to my head is mastery, and that still sounds very masculine, but
I agree that word doesn't, I quite like that word. And I was just going to say, like, some people will be like, yeah, but I can't afford to do that, I can't, I'm like, no, especially if you feel that way.
That's that old thing. If you don't have time to meditate, that's when you need it the most.
And we all get given time, right? Not the same amount, but we all get given time. And it really is, I've stopped saying I don't have time.
Yeah, me too.
I don't make the time. That's what it is. And that also comes down to, it's not a priority, like it's a bit of a, I don't have time, and it's become very normal and like, but actually, if you think about it, it's what you're saying is you're not my priority. And it's like, let's just, let's just say it.
Exactly. It's so funny, moving countries is like a massive permission slip to just take shit off your to-do list for me. I'm like, oh my God, all of these things that would be nice to do according to my subconscious trying to run, like make sure that I haven't let anyone down or blah, blah, blah. And it is, like I was saying to you before we started recording, like so many patterns are right in my face at the moment because I'm seeing all the ways that I still run protection around myself rather than just trusting my intuition. I would love, if it's okay with you, to share my experience doing the 12th house stuff, because I don't have any planets in my 12th house. So
I would love for you to do that. Yeah.
So I, like, my initial reaction, because, the first thing, like, look at the planets in 12th house. And I'm like, I don't have any planets in my 12th house. There must be something wrong with me. So can you
this isn't going to work. Fail.
So funny. Oh dear. So if, like me, someone doesn't have planets in their 12th house, and you said calm your farm. So what do we need to look at? And then I'd love to share what I've been working on and what the unexpected consequences have been.
So if you don't have a planet in your 12th house, you just look at what sign is ruling it.
Yes.
Right? So, if you think they're like 12 pie slices.
Yes.
But if this is the 12th house, this is the 12th house, then it's the line between the 11th and the 12th, basically, right? And if you were to just draw the line straight up, you'd actually see in the chart, like, what sign it would cross, right? And whatever sign that is the ruler of that house.
Yes.
And then each sign has a planetary ruler. So in your case,
Venus, so I can't remember.
Your 12th house was ruled by Taurus.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And therefore your 12th house planet is Venus.
Yes. Yeah. And when you were saying, like, what's the biggest, like, belief that you want to be kind of unpicking, and this has been, like, I feel like this is my bloody life mission. I've talked about it many times on this podcast, just this patterning of working hard to create income, and particularly working hard, like a very out of balance, like, yeah. And one of the reasons, and this is actually the unexpected consequence, or actually, first of all, the wild thing to me was as soon as I did the first kind of feel into like what message might Venus, have for me, or what symbolism or whatever, the two things that came through so clearly, the first thing I saw was a belly dancer. So very, very like hip, like I felt very, grounded, and that like figure 8 and the hips of that very, what came to my mind was very like second chakra, base chakra kind of. Like, and the flow, so the word flow was what, and the dance and the joy and the like real, because what I saw was not just a belly dancer, but like a group of belly dancers and lots of like joyful kind of, and so I was like joy and flow. And then the second thing was being a mermaid and swimming. I love water. Water is my soul food, and I live like 3.5 hours away from the ocean.
Same.
Yeah. Not for very long. And just swimming in the water. And that actually came with two things, because first of all, it's like a safety and a calm. And I've often said my mission this year, and I was saying at the end of last year too, was to create a business and a way of welcoming in money that feels like a calm blue ocean. Because to me, I'm held, there's a flow, there's a playfulness. And I quite often in meditations will be taken to like a pod of dolphins that I'm swimming with, or there's often a whale. Often when I'm working with like kidney yin energy, there's a whale that wants to come and like, it's like very dark, deep water, and it's very mystery, like very old lineage kind of. And so I started not working with, I hate that, like, but
I know what you mean.
Connecting with my superconscious, just with those two symbols. And it's funny because at first the mermaidy thing was more of the lightness and the being held, but then as time went on, what I kept being shown was the more willing you are to go to the depths, the more expansion. So to me, it was very much about, because, emotion is also water, or water is also emotion. But like, the more that you can go towards the fear and see it for what it is, which is just that chatter of the protection, the more power and flow and ease you will release. And so that was where I kept being. And then the belly dancing was just straight out joy, like just
but surrendering, right? Surrendering to that. And that's another very 12th house a word, surrender, letting go,
right.
Because the ego does not belong in the 12th house.
No.
Right? So I love all of that. That's so beautiful. And it's like, see, I could never have like
and I didn't like, I was like I'm always down for trying new things. I'm like, oh cool, okay, let's do that. And I'm also, just as like I was looking, my calendar yesterday, I'm like, I get to talk to Nic, and I was thinking, it's so funny. I have not connected any of what has unfolded very rapidly over the last few months to the 12th house stuff, but it is very interesting to me that like I think it was just before I started doing Superconscious, we had like spoken to our financial planner. We've always had this, we've got a bigger property. We've always been wanting to split it and then put that into like investments and whatever. Had that whole conversation. That just led naturally to talking to a real estate agent just about, what that would look like and blah, blah. And in that conversation, it was like my wild woman was just out of my mouth came, so how much will we get for rent? And then that afternoon, I'm like, I think we should go overseas for 12 months. And one of the biggest, so I mean, we've done it before. It's not a new thing for us.
Yeah.
The two things that A, being in the ocean, B, centering joy, and C, actually actively pattern interrupting my pattern of 9-10 hour days just for the fucking sake of it, like just for the sensation of it. And I'm like, so because I think that where my fear parts, but also there is that Capricornian, like I love getting into something and getting
and building.
Building.
I mean, that's your sun, right? It's like it is, whether we like it or not, it's where we feel our life force and our vitality, right?
Yes.
And that's like, I think we should accept that, you know.
Yes,
but you
exactly.
are going to be building something else this year, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also my moon, and I don't know if I'm going to get this right, but my moon was in Virgo. So my moon is in Leo in the 3rd house. So there, no, that's not right. It's in Gemini. Oh, I think I've mucked that up. But anyway, there's other places in my chart where joy and creativity and adventure and travel are really, really strong.
Yeah.
And it's just, it kind of feels like, because anytime I do center joy or make the space to go dance or go have fun, like anytime I do come back to my work, I'm actually far more efficient and far more lit up and far more lighthearted. But it's just interesting that working with the 12th house, and I'm like, oh, in the last 3 months, we've made some rather big decisions to change the way we go through the world. And also to, you know, we have other income streams as well that will be our travel. And so it's just, I feel like it's opened up fields of possibilities that would not necessarily have come across my knowing without that, you know, playfulness. And I also love, it's not like I'm having to like work at this. Like work hard at something. I'm so over people like external authorities saying you've got to do it this way and you've got to, if you want to manifest the best life,
exactly.
do it. And I'm like, oh.
Exactly. I mean, I think like, you know, you find your own way, and I think you find your own method that works. And I mean, yes, I do believe consistency matters, you know,
I do too.
But it doesn't have to be like this, okay, you know, it can be really as simply as, you know, falling asleep and waking up. That's it, you know, like it doesn't have to be more than that. Or like 2 minutes, you know, just 2 minutes of connecting, right? And then when that kind of increases, right? Eighth wonder of the world, compound interest.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know? With everything, honestly. So yeah, I mean, the framework is, it's not for anyone, you know, who wants a quick fix, who wants to be told exactly what they're going to do, who are going to, you know, see things happen, boom, in their reality. I want to remind people that the physical reality is the densest layer.
Yes.
So it is the slowest to change.
Yeah.
Right. 100%. And therefore, as within, so without. Right. So people are like, but my life is, I'm like, okay, well, how's it here?
Yeah.
How's it here? How is it, you know, like your energetic, spiritual, you know, I mean, I really get it now in a totally different way, you know, like, and for me, it's astrology always reminds me of that. Always, you know, it's like, it's about helping yourself and understanding yourself. And even with like something so other, like the 7th house, right? You're finally I can blame someone else. Oh, you know, like, nope, it still comes back to you, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, I mean, I'm always available for like, you know, if people want guidance. But actually, the people who've signed up since I launched, they've kind of, you know.
Well, it's a very introspective thing, right?
Yeah.
I think that that's part of the goal, because it isn't saying I have the answers, apply these 6 steps, which I think is the most disrespectful thing that any online business person has ever said.
Yeah.
Because how can I know your answers? Give me a framework. And I think the consistency thing is really important. And that's why I use the language self-devotion, not discipline, because I have like the rebel in me. When you say discipline, I'm like, fuck off. Like, I don't want to be disciplined. Devoted is a very different energy.
Oh, it's a totally different frequency. Totally. And I think we do need more. See? And when I hear devotion, I hear Virgo.
Ah, there you go. See?
You know, totally. Self-devotion is Virgo energy to me. So it's like we all need more of that, you know? And that was a thing, like throughout me, like fleshing it out and, you know, kind of sharing what was coming up. And like, I would tell, you know, the group of people who kind of experimented with me, right? I'd be like, oh, and wait, and this thing.
This
thing,
I made this other connection.
But the thing that I kept coming back to is like, I want it to be as easy to understand and practical. It has to be practical.
Yes.
Are we surprised that my 12th house?
I know.
Sign is ruled by Capricorn. Okay. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I remember you saying that when you, like, when we had been experimenting and you're like, all right, I'm ready to like create this thing. And you're like, I don't want it to be long. Like, I don't want it to be a massive amount of content, and it has to be practical. And I'm like, I hear you and I see you, fellow Capricorn energy.
Yeah. I'm like, there we go. Just so that is a perfect example, you know, of the energies of Capricorn coming through. Yes, I have a Capricorn moon and Venus actually, but you know, the fact that I'm doing 12th house stuff in a very Capricorn, like, how can we make it practical, you know, and useful, right? And how structured, and like nothing too structured, but at least some kind of form, right? And the other one that was really important for me was, you're taking your power back.
Yes. This is
that, you know, and I had one, so Itai has been the other one who's been part of it, right? And I remember with him, he said something that had happened, and I said, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, this means you can recreate this over and over and over again. And at first he was, you know, it was that kind of subconscious, like, well, you know, and I'm like, no, you did this. You know, and then it was like, okay, that's true, you know, like, and I think so often we forget that, you know, and so that's why I've also created a community alongside this. And it's not anything that you need to join, but for those who want to, you know, to share their experience with others. And I obviously have realized, right, doing it in a group, right, and sharing that it does with so many things, it has so much benefit, you know. And hearing like, oh, you had that experience. Wow. Because then you also realize, wow, I wonder what might be possible for me. You know,
that's what I love about community.
Exactly. And I do think that if these feelings of like, oh, you know, the slightly more challenging feelings of like, oh, why has that happened for that person? I'm not, you know, I think, oh, something's coming up to be, you know, witnessed and dealt with, you know, because I really feel that as long as you have this feeling of, oh, but why not me? And I mean, essentially, I feel that stems from a lack.
It's like,
you know? It's like, oh, that person is getting it, but there's enough for everyone. You know?
Exactly.
Like, there's abundance for everyone, and it's going to look different for you, right?
Exactly.
So, and I do mention this in the tracks a couple of times, because really the superconscious scripting in itself, I want it to be like, you know, joyful, and I want you to discover, like, you know, whatever that planet is for you. And when you describe, you know, your Venus energy to me, I'm like, that's your superconscious. How beautiful.
I know. It was so quick too. I was like, my God, I didn't kind of know what to expect, but literally as soon as you had said, because you'd sent me a voice note, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to check in. And that was the two things that straight away. And I was like, and yet I can stay in my head arguing with myself about the right answer for days, months, years.
But to me, it's like everyone's shared their, you know, and it's been so different from everyone. You know, for everyone. And it's just so beautiful, because to me, it's like, well, that is like, you know, your visual representation of your superconscious, and they're always beautiful and they are always powerful, of course, because it's your higher mind. Why would your higher mind want anything less, you know?
So good.
But I will say, because we are tapping on the door, knocking on the door of the 12th house, you know, it's not always going to be potentially, you know, flowy. And, you know, like, what I'm saying is that there can be things that come up that are uncomfortable, that give you discomfort. And I think that is normal, because again, the 12th house is the house of the unconscious, right? But obviously, if that becomes too overwhelming, then, you know, seeking you know, deeper help might be, you know. But I don't like to focus on that too much, because, you know, there's so much around trauma work, and it's like, you know, I think we can do things for ourselves that necessarily aren't always that heavy, right? But that experience could, those feelings might come up as
I mean, I think that part of the for me, like there has absolutely been lots of things come into. I was saying to someone the other day, there's an ad in Australia at the moment, which is like for an insurance agent. And it's this guy in a lighthouse and he's helping people like discover things like he finds an earring for someone, but then he like chases away a wolf. And the whole thing is like, we're always there for you. But
Oh, okay.
I actually feel like at the moment, there's like a big lighthouse in my awareness going, look at that shit. That's not in alignment, but look at that shit. And it is like very, very, and it is uncomfortable, but it's uncomfortable in a way of like, I know when there is this much coming to the surface that it's so close to the flip side of it, which is like, if I can just hold myself in the energy of, you know, being in that higher self energy, I know that what's on the other side is massive expansion. And I have a very clear sense that I will not know myself even in 2 months, let alone 12 months. Like that, there's something rapid. And I do think that like I'm all for trauma work and being aware of shadow, etc. And I do think that we also need to practice, you know, personal responsibility of like, if that is the case for you and you are unable to hold yourself in whatever way feels safe and good for you, then it is absolutely your responsibility to seek support that feels nourishing to you. And that is different for everybody as well. So I think that that's important to say.
Absolutely.
Do you want to, just to tie it all up, well, first of all, we're going to include all of the links to everything. So the 12th house Superconscious Scripting and the community. And also your Instagram link, because if people are like, okay, my feeling is that there is more here for me. Be able to contact you. Can you share a couple of other, like the things that have unfolded for people, like in our little experimental group?
So for one woman, it was, so she's really also been able to like just see what is she calls it mind junk, right? So the voices that just aren't helpful and that, you know, as you expand, they're like, no, we're not going to do that scary stuff. You know? But you know, really being able to see it clearly and then be like, you weren't invited to this party. So, you know, get back, you know, where you belong. So that really has been big for her, right? And then seemingly out of the blue, but you know, we don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah, exactly.
she got a job offer.
Yes.
That was just, you know, she's a homeschooling mother, so you know, she wants to be at home. She doesn't want to go somewhere physically, and she doesn't want to, you know, it's on a project basis. So, you know, she can basically manage her hours. You know, basically you perform fine, right? And all of that. So it was just, and it was in an area of work that she really wants to go deeper in. And she gets paid for it, basically, right?
And it fell in her lap. She did not go and apply for a job.
And when she kind of thought back on the timing of things, it was kind of, so she's like, this is why I know it's connected to the superconscious, right?
Well, that's what I'm like, it just only occurred to me like last night when I was thinking about this interview, I'm like,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
Like wild.
Another woman, she's had some amazing experiences with boundary setting, you know, and seeing how that's really positively impacted, you know, her work environment. And then she says, you know, this might be a little thing, but it's not a big thing because we all do it too often. And that's how we get sucked in. But she says before she goes to bed now, you know, before the superconscious scripting, she would just be scrolling mindlessly on her phone, like so many of us do, right? And she was like, no, this is my time to do, you know, the subconscious thing. And then she would, and she's like, it's just completely, you know, it helps her ground and, you know, and like just end the day on a much better note, right? And just obviously physiologically and everything, not having the blue light and you know that aside,
also not
right?
feeding your brain with all of the shitty news and social media like
exactly. She's like, oh, I'm going to connect. She's got 2 planets in her 12th house. She's like, I'm going to connect with them and see what they're up to, kind of thing. You know?
So cool.
And then another woman, she was like, oh, these are small changes, but when I read them, I'm like, okay, okay, they might be small to you, but they're pretty significant to me, you know? And it was just, and a lot of it was, so this woman's self-belief was around self-worth, and every single thing was connected to it. How she showed up for herself, you know? Like saying previously wish she would have stayed quiet, she didn't, right? or like, you know, she finally took hold of that like appointment that she'd been putting off, you know, because she felt like, oh, well, you know, no, I am a priority. Self-devotion, right? And she's a mother of 2 small children. So I get that, you know, you just I'll just sweep that under the rug for now, right?
Yeah, I'll be at the bottom of the list for the next 20 years, yes.
Yeah, you know? So all of those things, she was like, but I know that that is connected to, you know, again, it's being conscious, you know? I mean, I think what's come to the forefront, I mean, I know myself that I've lived my life, you know, unconsciously.
Yeah, most of us do.
Yeah, but this has really shown me like, oh, to what extent, you know?
Yeah, that's what I think with all the...
Yeah, absolutely. And then for myself, I've had like, you know, both inner and outer manifestations or shifts, let's call them. I prefer that word, where, you know, just things that shifted on the external, where, you know, I just got gifted with the most amazing generosity, you know, because two of my 2 beliefs that I have been wanting to shift and that are shifting are wealth and intimacy. And I like you know, the wealth can be so many things, right?
Yeah.
But quite early on in doing the Superconscious myself, I just saw things happen, you know, on the external. So again, I don't think that's a coincidence. No. And then things have definitely shifted, you know, in the intimacy area. And it's just things, how do I perceive pleasure? You know, what is it that I'm really afraid of? Like, what is the fear here? You know, and always just seeing this very empowered Mars, you know, and Mars is a planet of, what's it called? Sexual desire. You know? That is quite interesting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Actually. Yeah. Anyway, so so many beautiful shifts, but I think the main ones are the inner ones, you know, and those are the ones that then, as you feel the shift, because you just live your life differently. I mean, now, my external reality has been quite challenging for various reasons now, for a number of months. And yet, I don't think I've ever felt as peaceful, as calm, as happy. Like, I'm genuinely, it's not this like, all right, slap on my happy face. And, you know, like
let's play the glad game.
the mental conflict, right? Which can happen, like, for example, saying, I am wealthy. And then my subconscious is like, well, okay, you know, that is a mental conflict, right? Like, there's none of that. There is like none of that. It's just, and I think this comes as just a very positive side effect when you go into more stillness, into more moments of stillness, is that you just become more present aware, you know? And
because the job of the unconscious is to pull you either forward into like, what the fuck's going to happen, or backwards into, I should have done it better, blah, blah, blah. And that's what I find too. It's like, you can just stay present. Like the amount of times I've like felt, and I feel the same as you, like my external reality definitely has challenges at the moment that are undeniable, but the center of me feels, the most grounded and the most like I've got myself, like, and I used to work with a mentor that used to use the term like holding the pose, like just holding the pose of a woman who already has what she wants or what she desires or whatever. And that has been so clear to me. And I think that is just being more in that superconscious connection. Because it is very easy, if you don't have that connection to self, to believe all the other stuff that your brain is doing to try and keep you safe.
Exactly.
And that just is a shit show.
Exactly. And you know, so much of this is like, it comes down to belief, right? Like, what is it that we believe to be true? And if you think about it, you know, like just taking away ourself, but like, okay, what do I believe about certain things happening in the outer world? If I don't believe in that thing, I don't do it. And so therefore it's not even in my reality. Right? So then why do I believe these like self-limiting beliefs? You know what I mean? It's like,
this is the thing.
Yeah. So much is about belief. And I think, that saying, oh, I'll believe it when I see it. Of course, that's what's been kind of shoved down our throats. But it really is, I'll see it when I believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
And until you believe it, you're not going to see it.
Exactly. And if you're waiting to see it, then you've lost the point, because it's about holding the energy well before it manifests down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So cool. It's so cool. It's so funny, isn't it, when you're in conversation and I'm like, oh, I'm getting like all these different layers of things that are like things that I have known through different lenses. And I love how so often when I'm doing interviews like this, because I'm always speaking to paradigm shifters, there's like this, like, I always say the apple strudel, like all of this understanding that's dropping into consciousness, all of these different individuals, that is like part of this, like, I used to say like freedom is my highest value, but the only true path to freedom is self-mastery. Like not free. You can have anything in your external reality, but if you're not free internal, then you're not free.
Then I agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
The perfect example.
Thank
you so much for coming to share your magic.
You're very welcome.
It's been a delight. Closing comments that you want to share with people? Obviously, come and do the superconscious scripting, because why would you not after all of that?
And if you do feel that you want extra support, that is also why the community is there. I do I did get initially when in the experiment group, or whatever you want to call it, the adventure group, right? There were a lot of reflections, there were questions back and forth and things like that. And I do think that kind of helps, because we do have our conscious minds and we do have our left brain, and it wants to
understand. And
so if you feel that support is needed, then please join the community. But closing thoughts, I just feel getting to understand ourselves better, and I feel like that is really, really what it's about. And if people are having challenges externally with people, and so much is projection as well.
Exactly.
I really, so I've gotten much better at not taking things personally, because I'm like, okay, that's not my thing, but it's come my way, but that happens when we don't have our needs met. That's essentially what it is, right?
Exactly. And, I am a big believer in whatever you believe about yourself will just be reflected back to you as well. So there's often yes, people project, and also there's an energetic, like, I feel like I'm not worthy, I'm going to attract people that treat me as unworthy. That's the way that it works. Until we change the way that we connect.
And by doing that is how, I can, yes, there is so much going on out there, and if you allow yourself to get distracted, but I also feel like consciousness is leveling up.
I agree.
And it's really beautiful. And that's really when the deeper changes can happen, so
exactly. I think, yes, there is more and more people that understand what's really going on. We should say too, Nic, obviously we talked about it at the originally, but you also have a True Sidereal astro chart calculator on your website, if I'm not.
Yes, that's correct.
Come and do that. And also, obviously, you do readings. So what sort of readings do you do? Natal, you do kids?
So I do, I do natal readings. I look at kids' charts. And when I look at kids' charts, I look at, and the youngest I've done so far has been a 2-year-old, I think. And you're like, oh my gosh, well, why would you look at, but it's, when I look at a children's charts, I look at their needs. What are their emotional needs? What are their, soul or kind of life force vitality needs? What are their learning needs, right? Because whatever needs we don't get met is what we then end up
the voids. And
it ends up becoming what we project, right? So, and I will say I have 3 children, and knowing my children's charts has helped me no end, because my firstborn's like emotional needs are very different to mine, which, and because it's the moon, it's what we instinctively do, right? And what I would instinctively do is not what he needs. So it's really kind of stopped me, and become very mindful, to make sure that, okay, he gets those needs met. So children's charts, I also can do relationship, right?
Yes.
Looking at relationships, and the composite, which is like a chart of the relationship.
Yes.
If it were its own entity.
Yes.
So a bit different to like compatibility, so to speak.
So cool. So many different ways to see things.
So many. Also solar returns, which you can do, you know, once a year to see what the upcoming forecast is.
Yes.
Relocation. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few things that you can do in natal readings as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Do you want to just say verbally out loud? They will be in the show notes, but just for people that are looking for you, like, let's just do website verbally. So if people are in the car or something,
yes,
to connect.
Website is just www.theauthenticastrologer.com.
Perfect.
And then on Instagram, just type in The Authentic Astrologer, and I should come up.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nic.
Thank you so much for having me. I loved it.
Very cool to chat with people that are outside the box, and also, like, to me, you speak the language of like putting the power back in the individual's hands. I feel like that is the first step in all of the changes of the new paradigms that need to be built, is disconnect from external authority and external conditioning and external hierarchy and external bullshit. And then come back. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, could I do one more shout out, actually? I mean, it's it's been inspired by me.
Yeah.
You know, and also my husband's always been into astrology, but again, I've been doing the deep dive. But so he's created this tool called herbalcharts.com. And you go in, you put in your birth details and tropical, or, you know, you have an option. Tropical, true sidereal. And when your chart pops up, it also gives you, so the free version gives you the top 3 herbs, spices, cell salts, essential oils. We're going to add some other things as well. But they pop up. And you know, just to show you like what could be good for you. And interestingly, you know, people have said that, oh my gosh, I was already drawn to this.
The 3 that were the main things. Now I can't remember the 3 of them. I think it was chamomile, some sort of adaptogen, which I can't remember which one was, but I was like, I'm taking 2 of them already.
Yeah, so it's, you know, so you instinctively know, right? But for those of us who wonder, you know, it's a good tool. And then I think it's it's a monthly or yearly subscription. I think the monthly one is just under $10 US. But then you can also access progressed and transit charts, right? Amazing. Because you might be, so the progress would be good for more like, you know, longer term kind of remedies, I guess. And then the transits is if, you know, if you're tracking the lunar cycle, you know, like for your lunar month, you could see what comes up, right?
That's so cool.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing collabs and things with people as well. So yeah, my husband's got pretty big visions for it.
I just love that. Like, I love it when I see someone doing something with 2 systems I've never seen like overlaid, and I'm like, oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Because so many, like, because I'm a lover and long-time student of traditional Chinese medicine as well, like so much of the human design chart, and obviously there's an I Ching influence as well, but there's so much that, like, when I'm speaking with a client and noticing patterns and things, like, I'm like, oh, I really want to pull in like the lifestyle aspects of this, you know, the 5 element theory and everything. So I just love that, you know, we can overlap things in ways that have never been done before. I also think too, Nic, we didn't say also a price point for your subscription. My God, I can't speak. It's like we've been floating around in the Superconscious. For the Superconscious Scripting offer.
So to get the framework, it's $27 US dollars. And then to join the community, it's $27 US per month. And there's like chat, obviously, you know, chat support, but also monthly calls to share and things like that.
It's so good. It's community, like, integration of what you've actually experienced yourself, and actually seeing like, oh, it's not just me that has that fear, and it's not just me that wants to shift this belief, and it's not just me that, you know, seeing someone else, like you said before, like, go like, this is how I have shifted. It just opens up that field of possibilities, like 1 degree, so that you can see, well, she's just like me, she's just a human being, Like my husband loves to say, they just put their pants on the same as everyone else, pet.
Oh.
Like he's such a leveler. He's like, when I'm like, oh my God, someone's so amazing. He's like, yeah, she still puts her pants on the same way you do.
I love it.
Grounded. So grounded.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it. I also, in that community, I also do share, because I do feel like, okay, is there something I can do to like help, you know, kind of create something into my physical reality? So I do guide around the new moon, because the new moon is a very powerful wishing period. So that's another thing as well. But maybe we could talk about that.
Let's do another episode, because I just realized my granddaddy power period is as we're on the plane.
Oh, really? Is that when it starts?
I'm sure it's like May. I've got it in my calendar. Anyway, we will tidy up this interview and say
Everyone's
goodbye.
Like, granddaddy power period.
That's a seed for the next episode.
Yeah.
Next time you see Nic and I will have a sarong on. I will probably put a t-shirt on my top half, just so that people aren't shocked. Thank you, Nic. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Kylie.
See ya.